Hey everyone, today is going to be a fun video. I'm pretending I'm getting married again, and I'm looking for a wedding photographer. So who's out there? I want to see some prices, I want to see some portfolios. Do the prices match the portfolios? And how do things look on a scale when we compare them all together? That's what we're going to do today. By the end of this exercise, I want to be able to walk away with two options. An enthusiast photographer who's a little more affordable, who's looking for work, and a professional who's got a killer portfolio, probably charging top dollar for those of you looking for the best experience ever. But in the end, what I really want you to learn is how to judge for yourself, how to look at any portfolio online and see, oh, that guy's an enthusiast, he's not worth that price. It's training you how to see like a photographer and a creative person. So just to set the stage a little bit, I've done wedding photography for a couple years. I know what things are worth. I know what things cost. I started off at the bottom, very much cheaper, and as I grew in experience, my portfolio got better, my gear got more expensive, and I charged accordingly to where I was at, but also the market. So I have a pretty good understanding. Speaking of understanding, there's some things that are standard that you should expect to get from your wedding photographer for the money you're paying. One of them is you should get all of the digital files. Second is they should be editing all of them to some level. They don't have to be magazine quality, but they should be touching them all. It shouldn't be raw. You should be getting some kind of web album, all of those digital files put online in a nice album. It's very cheap and easy to do. There's no reason why they can't do it. And the last one I think is the most important is you should be getting a full day. Your whole wedding, that photographer should be there. I don't like when people try and say, here's 4 hours of your wedding, I'll show up for X price, and then upsell you on like a 12-hour day. Make sure they're there the whole day and at a price you guys agree, because you don't want the missing shots. You don't want missing elements. You can negotiate it and you can find somebody out there who's willing to do it. You just got to look hard. So I do want to state I will not be naming any businesses or people in this exercise. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm just here to educate. I want you guys to learn. This is all public information. All of these images are available online. There's no secrets. But I do want to keep it about learning and not judging. Since this is not live, I've already done this research, and I want to show you in order of top to bottom what I found, because I want to train your eye to see what the quality is and then compare it against other people so that you have something like a point of reference. So we're going to go to Kijiji, and we're going to type in just wedding photographer, nothing else, and I'm going to search all of Ontario to give the most results. Okay, wow, 300 results. I just want the top 10 to just look at a snapshot, but you guys should be continuing your search until you find 10 of those top quality guys that you can compare with family and friends and judge who's got the best price. So number one, their post just says, wedding photography and videography in Toronto GTA destination. It's an unpaid advertisement. They have 9 years of experience. They list almost nothing, but the most important thing is there, which is their portfolio. It's pretty vast and it's highly creative. So let's take a look. We've got great use of motion. We've got backlit shots. We've got posing going on with the arms and the hands and the eye direction. We've got great eye for color using graffiti and interesting artwork. And here, look, he's lying on the floor to take this shot so he can get a nice depth of field. This guy's working hard. I love this shot. The contrast of a beautiful wedding gown and a suit, yet we're in a Starbucks from the looks of things. So this guy stands out to me as a professional. He's a master at his craft. I would not expect a low price from this. I would guess $3,000 to $4,000. He hasn't shared. I wouldn't even be surprised with $5,000, and he'd probably be worth it. This guy's a pro. This is for those couples who want nothing but the best. This is the kind of guy I would recommend. I would just make sure he does all of the standard stuff that we talked about, that you should be getting, like the digital files, the retouching, which I'm pretty sure he is doing. Number two is just simply wedding photographer. Nothing fancy. Isn't it funny that he made number two and he didn't even really try to advertise with a flashy title? It just shows you that the portfolio speaks volumes. So he does list his price at $1,900 for a full day. And he's got really cool full body shots. He's got really cool environmental portraits. He's using wide angle lenses, shooting from above, very creative. For this price, this is an incredible portfolio. You should be really happy with this. I would call this guy up and learn more for sure and compare him to number one to find out what's going on. His price to me does suggest that he might be an enthusiast photographer. That's not a lot of money for a wedding and the work that he's doing, or maybe entry-level pro. One thing I noticed after reviewing all 10 and then coming back to his portfolio, gave myself a nice library of images to compare. I noticed that most of their full body shots, they were really small in the frame. This person really likes to capture the environment a lot, but you're kind of missing the point of the shot, which is the couple. And they did this so much that that's why they kind of dropped to number 2 for me, and I've kind of made those judgments that they might be more of a junior level. Clearly their price indicates that probably they're learning, so that's something to learn. Look for the size of the people in the shot. So the rest, I'll warn you right now, I did not approve of their portfolios. Only the top 2 were people I would consider actually hiring as to grow as part of your top 10 list that I recommended. Unfortunately, they just didn't have enough portfolio work to show, or their post-processing was so poor, it was not worth the price they were charging. There was editing errors, there was strange selects and strange crops and strange color editing. I actually had to skip a couple because there was no portfolio at all, and I would have had nothing to show you guys. So that shows you that just looking at the top 10 alone is not going to yield results that will find the right guy. Number 3. We've got 2020 weddings sale, photo and video for $1,500 or photo for $1,000. That's an incredible price. Let's go take a look. Their normal price is $2,500. That's a crazy amount of savings. It kind of makes you wonder how far he's really willing to go if he'll drop his price under 50%. So right off the bat, I'm seeing some very strange lighting. He's not using a flash. You could see the shadows under the cheeks and under the eyes. Very strange color correction, feels kind of purple. You want to see nice warm skin tones. This is a very cool shot. And also something you don't want to see on somebody's portfolio, which is their best work, is missed focus shots. You can see the hands are not in focus. The camera might have been on a mode that uses auto focus and it grabbed a part of the dress instead of the hands. And I saw this a couple times in this portfolio, and that's an indication that they're going to miss a few shots. So number 4, you can check Find a Photographer off your wedding to-do list. They are asking for $3,000 for a full day, and very interesting, 8 to 12 weeks turnaround time. They're telling you how long it's going to be till you see all of your photos. That is a long time. That's like 2,000 hours that they're asking for to do maybe a 20-hour job. Something is wrong there to me. I don't understand that kind of length. I've heard horror stories of people waiting months to get their photos. So this is a red flag for me that you may not get your photos on a timely manner. So I'm seeing some strange presets going on. All of the blacks are plugged in and dulled out here. I'm seeing very red skin tones here. We want to see warm, but not this hot. This is a strange choice in lighting and cropping. If you're going to highlight the bouquet with the light and leave the bride in the shadow, I would have wanted to crop in on the bouquet and just show that. It's kind of strange that she was left in the shot. This is a strange select. It's not a very flattering pose. I at least would not have put that in my portfolio as my best work advertising my service. Here we have another strange crop. We have this nice young man in the middle of the shot, kind of small, with tons of space on either side. I would have liked to have seen that crop tighter. There's so much space above his head. So for the price they're charging, I'm just not seeing the quality that I would want to expect in comparison to other people we've seen and we're going to see. This is a good example of why camera skills alone are just not good enough. You need the post-production skills as well. And that's really why I want to highlight this channel for photographers like this making these decisions. Number 5, I want to run through really quickly. The advertisement says professional female photographer in GTA, Mississauga, Brampton. The skin retouching went way too far. There's no detail in her skin at all. It just looks all blurred. And the lens flare is something you want to do in camera. It's gotten a bit of a reputation for being cheesy when done in post-production. Other than that, the photography is fantastic. Again, it's just the retouching that has brought this down a few notches. It's also interesting to note that this is a paid advertisement, so it just goes to show that it doesn't matter if somebody is investing in advertising, the quality has to be there. Number 6, we have a photographer with 8 years experience. Their advertisement says, affordable professional wedding photography, 1 week delivery. It's quite a leap from 12 weeks with the last gentleman. He's charging $1,800. It's a very reasonable price. Very interesting crop choice. The groom in the middle and the bride off to the side, off center. Very short on the page, head directly in the center of the photo. And I noticed throughout their portfolio, they used a lot of skin blurring to the point where I was even seeing the clothing in the backgrounds looking really soft. And I think what they may have done is maybe pulled the clarity slider back to make everything look very dreamy. But as a result, all the texture and beautiful quality of the high-res shots I think are missing. Or they've applied some kind of blur to the whole thing to avoid needing to do skin retouching and just make the whole thing look nice and smooth. At 8 years experience, I would expect to see a little bit better post-production decisions and a better portfolio. So going back to the 1 week turnaround delivery, that's a really, really short time. I could do it, but I would be rushing and it would have to be a small wedding. 2 weeks is a little bit more realistic. It makes me wonder what actually is going on in that 1 week. What kind of corners are they cutting, like the blurring? What are they not doing? How much are they not taking time to make the right selections and crop things properly? So here we are at number 7. GTA's best event photo and video, packages starting at $250. Wow, that's a great price. So starting off, their Instagram portfolio has a total of 36 shots, only 6 of which are from a wedding. The rest look like engagement shots of some type. They don't have a personal page outside of Instagram. That's a bit of a red flag for me. Most photographers should spend the time to make a personal page for their business to make it at least appear legitimate. We've got no details on anything outside of that. Let's look at some of their shots. Very yellow tinge to them and very strange cropping with faces being kind of cut out of the picture, chopped at the ears. There's just not a lot of work to look at to make a judgment call. This lack of detail and information and experience just shows me that I would want to steer clear of a photographer like this. Number 8, we have affordable and professional wedding and event photography. 15 years experience. That is a lot of time shooting weddings. But when I looked at their site, at the bottom, it said copyright 2016. So is it a 4-year-old site for a 15-year-old business? Bit of a suspicious thing happening there. There's only 24 photos on the site, 3 of which are wedding related. 15 years and you can only share 3 wedding photos? Something is strange going on here. Often if you go check the website of a photographer and their website isn't designed and it's under construction and there's links broken, that's a reflection of how they're going to treat their business and maybe treat your wedding too. So that's a red flag for me right there. I mostly just left this on here to illustrate a point that you need evidence. 15 years of shooting, there has to be something, some record of work being done so that you know when you're buying this person and their service, what you're getting. And you can't show photos from another type of business because you need a wedding. You don't need a portrait or a picture of a dog. So that's not sufficient evidence to make a good judgment call to hire a type of wedding photographer. Here we are at number 9. 8 years of experience, and their title is $100 an hour, photography, videography, and photo booth. They're advertising that they use high-end gear like a Canon 5D Mark IV and a EOS R. That's really nice. Let's take a look at their work. So there's some extreme editing going on here. We're seeing evidence of some color correction happening in some areas, some dodging to kind of reduce the intensity of the forest, and see an editing mistake here on the dress where they were trying to color correct the grass, but some of that got onto the dress. And there's just a very strange tint happening here. I'm not a fan of this preset look. I feel like it's not going to stand the test of time 20 years from now looking at this. You want to see realistic skin tones, backgrounds, and colors. And here we have a very, very heavy yellow tint. There's no other colors. It's just yellow and blue. Again, I'm just not a fan of this look. Maybe you are. Maybe you love this. I would stay clear of a photographer like this, not displaying natural skin tones. So the funny thing is, his photos are pretty good. The problem is the post-processing. Again, coming back to this channel's dream is to educate photographers like this who are doing incredible work how to do really great post-production work, because this guy would have risen way to the top if he had edited his photos in a different way. Weddings are not a place to be experimenting with these kind of creative edits. And also, you can advertise you have the best gear in the world, but if you can't edit those photos to a level that is the best, then I don't see the point in advertising it. So the last one here, number 10, this one is fascinating. So let's start at the beginning. Their description is female photographer, $50 an hour, 4K cinematic videography coverage. So female photographer, so they're trying to play up that, a bride will feel really safe with a female there if she's getting dressed. That's a tactic I've seen used a couple times. They're charging only $600. That's a great price. 2-week turnaround, pretty realistic. High-end gear, Canon 5D Mark IV. So they have no personal pages or portfolios at all. No website, no Instagram, no nothing, no Facebook, nothing to get to know them. Just a couple photos on the Kijiji page. And they're a little suspicious to me right away. First of all, she was wearing a hat. That to me indicated that maybe this was a staged wedding to build portfolio work, but it wasn't an actual wedding. It's very different shooting a real wedding as opposed to a staged wedding. You don't get time to think and plan. Things just happen. I saw heavy use of presets, another kind of sign. And the fact that somebody has this kind of quality shooting work, but no presence online to back it up, I'm not sure why. Why would you not want to advertise something like that? Something felt off. So I came back to this the next day. I did a reverse image search. I took the image off the Kijiji and I put it in Google and I said, show me where this image applies online, where it's found online. And it found it in Florida. We found a hair and makeup artist in Central Florida who's using this photo on their website. So they're not a photographer. And they're definitely not in Ontario. So my gut was right. I then searched the second image and I found the photographer. They also live in Florida. And guess what? All of their work matches this style. So we have the evidence we're looking for that this is this photographer's work. And their prices start at $1,900, not $600. So we're starting to see a separation of who this poster is versus this real photographer. On top of that, the person posting on Instagram edited the photos even further than the photographer in Florida. So they added a preset or something, and you can see the before and after. It looks worse. I love the work that was done in Florida by that photographer. That person should have never changed anything. Maybe they're trying to disguise their photo. So it's all kind of making sense now. So I hope that goes to show that you really got to do your research. You got to look deep at what their work looks like. Does the price line up with the quality of the photos? Where's their personal page? All of these details have to line up. So to recap a couple things that we learned, years of experience doesn't really matter. Listing top-end gear doesn't really matter. Simply saying you do wedding photography doesn't matter if you have nothing to show for it. Higher prices doesn't mean better. Portfolios really matter. I wouldn't consider anybody who didn't have multiple weddings in their portfolio. Look for a variety of work in their portfolio. Are they doing close-up portraits? Are they doing detail shots? Are they doing environmental shots? Are they using wide-angle lenses and zoom lenses? You can judge a portfolio by its worst photo. This is their online presence, what they're using to market themselves, the best of their work. This isn't all of their work. This is their small selection of their best work. So if you see a really bad photo, that's an indication that they're not able to judge their work accurately. And last of all, you should not be waiting months for your photos. It doesn't take that long to edit them. You don't want to have to threaten your photographer for your photos. I've seen it happen. 2 to 4 weeks is pretty reasonable. So that's it, guys. Hope you learned something and you can go out and find a photographer on your own. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Thanks very much. If you enjoyed this and learned something, please hit like and subscribe. Visit DemaninPhotography.com or my Instagram for even more info. Bye for now.